What do you feel is holding you back in life? What do you think that you have to do to make your life better than it is currently? What can we do to close 2020 and for the forthcoming future and the impending year make life better? What's going on, everyone? This is RFBM, Raising the Financial Bar with Mar. So today I want to talk to you guys about something I really feel is important. Throughout 2020, there's been a lot of things that's been going on. People have been going through a lot of turmoil. There's been economic disparity amongst other things. And I just want to recognize the things that I feel like have affected a lot of people, including me, and what we can do about it. I just want people to understand that we're all human. There's a lot of things that I've seen throughout social media, throughout posts from entrepreneurs, political things, racial things, all of the likes. And at the end of the day, it comes down to what can we do for ourselves, but also where's the empathy? And I don't expect people to have empathy for anybody, but I expect people to have respect. And although that is something that's almost like a novelty these days, I think that it's also important because we've all struggled throughout this year. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us have struggled. There's a lot of factors that tie into that. So without further ado, let me just get into some of the things. Well, for one, I feel like a lot of us were unprepared for disasters, which no one was expecting the virus or COVID or anything like that to happen. However, what this taught me is that we should expect the worst at all times. We should have emergency savings. We should make sure that our debt is paid off or that we're working towards paying that debt. We should have multiple streams of income. And to be honest, that's one of the reasons why I've been trying to be as consistent as possible when it comes to getting back into this business. It's one of those things where you really have to sit down and just take accountability for yourself. And I feel like a lot of us were not expecting things to happen the way they have, but now that we've faced it, it's time to start taking things seriously and working towards the steps to get to a solution to a lot of our problems that we're dealing with. So before I get into the external factors that are a reason why we are in the positions that we are, I want to get into why we personally are in the position that we are from our own decisions. So one of the biggest things is our debt situation. I say time and time again, but when I'm speaking to others, I'm also speaking to myself. We have to get out of the idea of, self-gratification or just overall materialism. It's cool to want these things, but at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10 for the average American, these material things that we are seeking do not do anything to make us better financially. So essentially, they're hurting us, and there's so many things that we can do to get out of that. Self-gratification doesn't do anything for us. So I think the biggest thing that we should focus on is making our money work for us, making our money help ourselves. So when it comes down to it, what I mean by that is you work a job, correct? Or you might work multiple jobs, or you might have a side hustle. That's a whole nother topic, but I implore people to also have multiple forms of income because, as you can see now, it would be very beneficial if you had multiple, no? So what I really wanted to stress is that you have a job, correct? A lot of us have a job. For those that are, a lot of us have a form of income. Your income is a tool. A lot of people don't understand that, but let me break down why I say your income's a tool. You use your income to cover bills for expenses, to take care of you, or take care of your family, or take care of the people that you care about, the people that are close to you. So what sense does it make to continue to use that same money for things that you don't need? You need to pay your debt off. You need to pay your bills. You need to take care of you and your family. So why spend your money on these things that you don't need? And well, let me just break it down here. Every time we spend dollars on things we don't need, we're basically making somebody else's family richer. What sense does that make? You know what I mean? I think that one of the biggest things that we can do for ourselves is invest and save our money. So everybody doesn't understand stocks, but I implore people to research it. Everything's on the internet. You want to invest in the stock market. You want to have emergency savings. A lot of financial experts, like I said, I'm not a financial expert. I'm human. I make mistakes as well. But financial experts, a lot of them say to have, 3 to 6 months of rent in the event that something happens. Now, I know a lot of people are having different types of responsibilities and different type of lifestyles and things that they can't control. But in the event that you have money available, you should be putting that towards a savings, or putting that into the stock market, or putting that towards paying debts, because debt is a trap. And debt is a trap that is putting a lot of us in a position where we can't rise. And as the rich continue to get richer, we continue to be in a debt pit. You are in control of your future, and there's so many things that are limiting you. Now, I'm no Dave Ramsey, but car payments, if you're going to, try to get the interest rates as low as possible. Try to save money in the long term. So you might want the Benz, you might want the Lexus, but why not get a Toyota or a Honda Civic, which I understand could be pricey as well, but choosing that over something else that can essentially hurt you in the long term. I stress it so many times in all of the content I've created about the long term. What is it in the long term? How much is this going to help you? Car payments can limit you. I'm almost done with my car payment myself, but I understand that the time that position I was, that it was my first car and I wanted to get to that point. But I realized that even back then, if I saved a little bit more, I could have saved more money in the long term. But that's neither here nor there. Now we're at the position we're at. We want to get as low of a car payment as possible if we can't buy a car in cash. We want to pay your phone in the full. Why are we paying monthly charges on phones that are essentially going to do nothing for us? You don't need the newest phone or the year before model of a phone. As I mentioned earlier in one of my episodes with a good friend of mine named Tevi, who's extremely frugal, he's probably saved hundreds to thousands because he didn't do those $30, $40 a month payments for a phone. He just buy it cashed or used from somebody. The luxury lifestyle that we want is there for us, but we have to make sacrifices before we reach there. You get what I'm saying? And anyways, fast forward back, the most recent job I worked at, I was working at this company. It was a temp job. And one of the things that we would do was recruit substitute teachers. And I remember we have a shortage here in Florida right now. And from my knowledge, a lot of teachers were being laid off, and in turn, substitute teachers were filling those positions. And one of the things that struck me as crazy was the fact that we were only able to pay substitute teachers at the max. I believe it was $12 an hour. Bruh. $12 an hour. You go to school for 4 years to acquire $12 an hour, right? And that's if you have your bachelor's degree. I think it was $10 for your associates, and then maybe minimum wage if you just have your high school degree. I know absolutely ridiculous. But I say all that to say that I was on the phone with a person that I was calling. That was a link that clicked on the ad to gauge interest in a substitute ad that they were posting to try to get more exposure. And so what I would do was call the list of people that showed interest in that ad. And I remember I called this guy, and he was interested in being a substitute teacher, and we talked. I did a couple of pre-screening questions, asked him, his background, has he ever had any prior experience, things that, just typical things that you ask as a recruiter trying to screen somebody. And we got towards the end, I was trained, not to really tell them what the salary necessarily was unless they asked, or if they wanted more details about the benefits or the perks. And I try to be as transparent as possible. So I told them, I was like, well, it depends on your level of education. He's like, well, I have 2 bachelor degrees. And I was like, okay, well, then you would be entitled to receive, the max would be $12 an hour. And he was like, $12 an hour? And it was just very awkward silence. And I was like, yeah, $12 is the max. And he was like, I make more money delivering pizzas. And all that made me think is how limited in scope we are with a lot of these jobs. And it makes me think that there's nothing wrong with going to school, but make sure if you're going to school, you are able to get into a career that not necessarily makes you rich, but that can at least pay your bills and make you stable so that you can build wealth and use that money that you're acquiring from that to build money on the ends, whether a business, whether the stock market, or real estate, just all of these things in general. And after that, he was like, I'll have to talk to my fiance. Honestly, if that was me, I probably would have just hang up. But he told me he'll think about it and he'll get back in contact with me. But the fact that he even considered it just makes you think about how far along and what are we dealing with currently in Florida. And there's so many things to consider. Build up your skills. It's been a tough year, but it's taught me that you have to apply yourself. Try to find as many options as for yourself as you can, because I know there's emerging sector about the tech sector is really exploding. Maybe learn to code or learn a trade, become an electrician or a plumber. They're always in need. Or if you're going to college, try to be as frugal as possible, because in Florida especially, we do need health workers or people in the health industry. But how much debt are you willing to incur to fulfill that? And I hope that is your dream, because at that point, do you want to be miserable? 2020 has really showed us that there's so many things that we have to consider, because even now, I've accumulated some debt because I haven't been able to maintain a steady job. But I know that it'll be better. But it just goes to show you, I ate through my emergency savings, and even then I probably should have had more. But I ended up, doing things like Dave Ramsey would probably kill me, using my credit card to try to cover expenses. And it just makes you think that maybe if I had a skill, or maybe if I had scaled my business, because I do have a side business as well, I might have been in a better place, and I would be able to profit off of what we are currently dealing with. But it's just food for thought. This is just a lot to consider, and it just makes you think that what more could I have done to get me to a better place in life. And then we have so many other influences. Let me get into the external factors. We have, individuals' mental health, because all of the things that's been going on currently, or the people already experiencing traumas and mental health as well. It's even more aggravated. Then we have things like political issues, where we're getting a lot of promises and we're not sure if they're going to be delivered. Just recently, I took account and watched a majority of the video of President Joe Biden discussing some of the policies and just things in general that he wants to get into action and just pretty much addressing a couple of things. And I'll play a little bit of the information, and just you yourself tell me what you think.
Every one of you is dealing with something that is very personal and affects all of you differently, although in one sense, everybody's affected in the same way. So I want to thank you for joining me today and for sharing with me what you and your families are going through. And I know times are both tough, but I believe that with the right policies, we can fundamentally change things. And my hope is that we'll be able to help in a short order, but that depends a lot on our friends in Congress and the other side who are prepared to take the action that has to be taken. The full Congress should come together and pass a robust package of relief to address your urgent needs now. And that means extending unemployment insurance for Lori and Jessica and Karen and the millions of Americans who, like them, who've lost their jobs or hours through no fault of their own. And that's going to help you put food on the table and pay the bills. We've got to make sure businesses like yours, Dan, have the resources they need in addition to the guidance and health and safety standards to open safely, And that will help businesses stay open, hire workers, and like all of you. Thirdly, we have to provide states and cities the funding so workers like Lori can go back to work as their job as a school crossing guard, keeping children safe. And we have to make sure that people can't get evicted from their homes because they can't pay their rent or their mortgage payment during the pandemic.
At the end of the day, political power is strong, but we also have to focus on what we can do. What I noticed is a lot of times we're focused on stimulus and all of the government aid, which, like I said, I'm not playing the side of Democrat or Republican, but these things are things that are oftentimes in the news, and I feel like the relief that they say they're going to send to us, we're not sure when they're going to send to us, and honestly, I'm not really buying it. And I say this only because while Democrats and Republicans are bickering over what we should do, this is too much money or this is not enough money, or people need to figure it out themselves, there are hundreds of millions of Americans trying to find their way and are in need of support. Now, it's interesting the thoughts that he had on the unemployment and suggesting the $600, and just other resources for people that are struggling to pay their mortgages, because there's a lot of things in a lot of issues at hand. There's a lot of people that will be homeless if they don't extend, the January deadline for people to not be evicted. And, landlords are going to want their money, as they should. And people are in need of support to try to make their payments to get there, because this is not necessarily anyone's fault. This is more of a collective problem. And instead of finger pointing at whose fault is what, we should be focused on what we can do to make society better. And when I say society, especially America. And there's a lot of things to consider. Personally, I think there's a lot of chaos going around about the virus, and some people think that we should reopen, and some people think that we should completely shut down. And you are entitled to your opinion, but I find it odd how people are basically crucifying somebody for feeling one way as opposed to the other. And I think that doesn't really do anything. It just creates more division. And to be honest, I can see the side of why somebody would want to reopen the economy, because although that could be a chance that more people will die from this deadly disease, also we have to take into account how impactful the economy will suffer from us not taking any action. But it's not really what I'm not too much stressed about is opening or reopening or closing the economy and trying to just keep people at home, or allowing people to freely, go about how it used to be before this chaos started back in March, is the safety measures to make sure that we can effectively do either choice, or maybe there's something around the middle, so that people can, a lot of people want to work, a lot of people want to get back into their businesses, or try to make that transition back to a normal life. And there's a lot of people that are scared of what can happen, because there's a lot of misinformation going on, and there's a lot of things being said about the severity of the virus or lack thereof. So more research for sure. There's a lot of distrust because nobody knows really what's going on. And well, to an extent, but nobody really knows the full magnitude or what's the next step we'll have to take, and it's understandable. But the biggest thing is, how can we make sure everybody is safe, and how can we progress in how can we move forward instead of constantly dealing with what we're currently dealing with. It's just one of those things where I think we have to be more open-minded to different opinions, and also see how we can come up with solutions as opposed to problems, because all I see around right now is people talking about the different problems that we are dealing with, but nobody has a lot of solutions. And when I mean solutions, actually valid, reasonable, realistic solutions that can help our society. So that's something to consider as well. I appreciate the support that I've got, although I can't wait until I continue to grow further in this platform, and I just hope everybody stays safe and considers some of the things that I've mentioned. And if you like this, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube, and also please continue to listen to my podcasts on all of the platforms that I have them on. And I hope everybody continues to be safe and tries to expand their mind and think, the virus has actually affected people within my family, so I know that this is a serious thing. But notwithstanding, I think that we should consider things where we can make ourselves more financially stable. I understand people think holidays are important. Think about how this is going to help you when you think about purchasing gifts, because a lot of us, I feel like we shouldn't be purchasing gifts right now. We should be focused on the task at hand. I appreciate everyone. I love all of my supporters, and I really wish the best for everyone. Once again, this is RFBM, Raising the Financial Bar with Mar, and this is just another issue that we'll have to overcome through faith, dedication, determination, and consistency. And we out. Be safe.
Our own mind has to be changed. We have to change our mind about ourselves.
Instead of me fulfilling my prophecy, I have to start. Instead of me, doing a good job and carrying on the empire, I have to build. And that's a hell of a job with 21-year-old. You know what I'm saying? That's a hell of a job for any youngster, male or female, to have to build and improve. Because this world is such a gimme. Everybody back off. Everybody's like taught that from school.
I don't come to bow, I come to conquer.